Hey everyone! Alright, we're wrapping up our first full week of the boot camp. Awesome! We've covered a lot of really super important foundation elements that are going to serve as the foundation that we can build upon for the next 3 weeks. And if the foundation is good and strong, you can build a long-lasting relationship. But if the foundation isn't solid, the house will crumble eventually unless you put in a ton of work. Much easier to build a solid foundation at the beginning than to deal with repairs later. That's for sure. So let's get to it. Today, we're going to talk about what I see to maybe be the single biggest problem that men bring into relationships with women of all. Seriously, this is freaking huge, and you might not like it. You might recoil, you might resist, you might deny it, but I've seen it over and over enough times to be nauseatingly obvious how pervasive it is. So open up your mind, check your attitude, and let me just say it to you straight. Her point of view is no less valid than yours. All right, I'm going to say that again. Her point of view is no less valid than yours. Now just let that sit there. Just let it sink in and notice if your mind reacts and immediately says some quick defensive judgments or opinions about it. You know, it's interesting what comes up when you really sit with that statement. Her point of view is no less valid than yours. You see, pretty much every guy I know operates with an unspoken opinion that his point of view on the world is better, more right, and more valid than his partner's. It has to do with guys thinking that masculine, logical reasoning is more valid than feminine emotionality and changes and stuff like that. So many guys will say that they believe that her point of view is just as valid as his, but when it really comes down it in the dirty nitty-gritty of a long-term relationship, the ugly truth reveals itself. He often thinks that the way he sees things is the right way, and she's just being emotional. But let me tell you, she got along perfectly fine without you before, and if she suddenly had to live alone for the rest of her life, she'd make it just fine. She'd make her money, she'd get her bills paid, she'd handle her relationships just fine, and she'd do it her way. You know, when she says that she sees something one way, notice if you feel or think that she's just wrong. And that if she could just see it your way, then she'd see that your way is better because it's based on logic. Putting yourself on some high ground in your head and then devaluing her perspective, her wisdom, her experience, her insight, and her intuition. You know, part of becoming a conscious lover is learning the truth that what you might call her irrationality or emotional flip-flopping is actually a visible aspect of her feminine power. Suppressing her goddess energies would just make her a boring man, and that's not what you really want. Her powers lie in her subtle abilities to make connections and feel energetics. They complement your logical and linear abilities to reason and sequence. You know, the true power unfolds when the best of both worlds are brought to life and empowered by each other. Guys, accept her fully as your equal, and then start letting her school you in her points of view. It will enrich your life. You'll become more empathic, more intuitive, and she'll become more logical and organized as you both experience resonance with each other. You'll improve each other and expand both of your skill sets and powers. All it takes is really seriously, deep down, shining the light of reason that you have on your own tendency that you have to think that your point of view is better than hers. Just destroy that belief. Obliterate it by choosing to change it. Man up and decide to change something about yourself that will result in making you more able to meet a woman and empower her to embody herself fully in your presence. Make it a practice. Whenever she says her opinion about something, just accept it as a valid opinion, just as valid as yours. If you experience a desire to set her straight or tell her how your idea is better, don't. Just don't. Let her opinion float in your mind as a valid thought stimulator, and then try to see it from her perspective. Try to see how from where she stands and what she's gone through in her life and the way she thinks and has experienced things, that her point of view makes sense. And it is logical from her perspective on the world. Inherent in this practice, you'll find that you'll come to value her perspective, and it'll teach you things that you wouldn't learn if you just went around thinking you were right all the time. Let her enrich you. Don't sell your soul and not believe what you know to be true. But humble your ego and admit that you don't have it all figured out. You are a product of your experience and ideas and limitations and failures and successes. A relationship with a woman can be the best thing in your life. So let her expand your horizons and your concepts, and you'll be richer and wiser for it, and she'll feel your supporting recognition, your respect for her and her perspective, and it'll fuel the fire between you. Women respond well to men who empower and respect them, so do this for yourself and your relationship. Accept the truth that her point of view is just as valid as yours. All right, big thing. But that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in and taking part of the boot camp. Remember, keep up with your kegels every day and give me some love by commenting so I know that people are out there and appreciate this and I'm not just talking to an empty room. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Hasta mañana.